There's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Alla bon dia, alegria. Munson here from expatsportugal.com with the Good Morning Portugal live stream and podcast. Shout out to the people listening to the podcast with me doing it to you in your ears right now. How are you? Always great to hear from the podcast people. And of course, the lovely people, the Gumpers here live with us every morning. I think there is good news to report. Is there not, James? Dare we say more? Oh, yes, James, I am now officially a resident of Portugal. I thought so. Awaiting the arrival of my card in the mail. What's that? From the president? Welcome, Mr. Holly. And only 20 minutes in and out. So if I had a bell sound effect to ring, if I could give you a big dong this morning, I would. James Holly, congratulations, parabéns to you, my friend. And they only looked at my application and filled in the blanks for me, my passport/visa and my attestado. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom for James Holly there. Fantastic. Great news, James, and thank you for sharing that with us this morning as we open the show. What a great way to open. Jandis is here already. Quarter to 8. Bon dia, folks. Just to introduce myself and explain my name, I am Icelandic Scottish. Jandis translates roughly to little fairy, girl bear. That's a great name. My nickname from birth is Baddie. My goodness. Okay. Did I see you in Vikings, maybe? Which sounds a bit bad, being baddie from Iceland. Indeed, lol. But really, in Icelandic, it's just a short version of Bjarndis. And have I got that right? Bjarndis. Is the B kind of slightly, it's just ever so slightly there. Just like the faintest hint of cinnamon on a pastel de nata. Many people prefer to call me Helena, though. That's going to be a whole lot easier for me. What would you prefer? I think we're going to have to call you Baddie of the Gumpers. Here on the Good Morning Portugal live stream. And prazer conhecer-te, a little fairy girl bear. Obrigado for your lovely and sweet introduction. So people chatting, Helena, Jandis and James having a chat before the show starts. Nice place to hang out in the mornings. And James wishing us a bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz quarta. He's very happy to be here this morning with his great news and his fabulous yellow slug. That's a very kind of sexy slug portrait, if you don't mind me saying there, with your yellow banana slug casually draped over the side of a table, is it? I wonder. There's a few more lines for the erotic novel there, James. It's coming together, isn't it? I hope these notes are being typed into a manuscript that we can offer the modern-day equivalent of Mills and Boon at some point, and we're all going to be rich. Isn't that amazing? We can share the spoils. James gets a bigger cut, obviously, for doing all the hard work and committing it to paper. But I think anyone who's contributed a line to that, and that's where bands fall out, isn't it? That's where the trouble starts, when we start talking about money and all dividing up the spoils of our erotic novel. That's when the trouble will begin and people will be falling out. Talking of politics, it's bound to come into the conversation after 9. So as you can see on the ticker tape there, I'm liking this. This was aimed directly at people who said the show was too long and I didn't timestamp it. There's your timestamp after 9 o'clock this morning. Ask anything about health in Portugal. Wednesday is hump day, and ask anything about Portugal today. And on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month, we have Andy The Doc Thompson with us, who's an ex-GP from the UK. So if you've got any ailments that you want to talk about or how to engage with the Portuguese health system, Andy's your man. And if we can't answer it live on air, we'll find out through other means like Serenity. Check out Serenity too. Get your medical case managed by Serenity. Check them out in our business directory. I'm having great experience myself with them. Serenity, great idea, which is your case management between sometimes a rather confusing Not their fault. I mean, this is what happens when you become an expat in a foreign country and you're negotiating a new health system. It's a big and scary thing. And obviously, when you're not feeling too well, it's an added complication. Serenity, step in to bring you serenity in that process. So, oh, do you like badass baddie better? Love the alliteration. So working on a Gumper nickname there by the sound of it, and baddie it is. Thanks for allowing me to play a bit this morning, he said. Getting warmed up for the show. Ha ha, no problem. I'm not meant to be reading this out, am I? But it's rather good. Let's throw a bucket of water over those two, metaphorically, and go to the Duck. Who I will be co-hosting a new podcast with from Friday. After the show on Friday, we're going off-piste and an independent podcast known as Munson and the Ducks Bubble Off Centre. This will be new to James, but I think James will like it because he inspired the title, the Bubble Off Centre podcast, where we will be bringing succor, support and solace to the eccentrics of the world and trying to make sense of things. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it right. And I was thinking, big issues. We don't want to struggle and shy away from big issues. We'll talk about the big issues. One of them came up yesterday, actually, which I'd like to carry on with this morning, especially in the company of the doc, but with a big heart. So often I think big issues bring out the meanness in people, don't they? Because they get scared. But if we can, I don't know what you think about this, the duck, but how about big issues with a big heart and a sense of humor, bringing some humor into these difficult things that are clearly facing us at this time in human history. Day 267, still wearing a Groucho Marx nose and glasses while driving. That won't arouse any suspicion at all. One of probably, 212 Groucho Marx driving around Lisbon at the moment, trying to keep a low profile. Oh, there he goes again. Stephen Wright quote of the day, excellent. And this is a great question, isn't it? Why don't they make the whole plane out of that black box stuff? Hey! And George Carlin on the money again, bang on. Pithy. It's a word I love to use, as you'll know if you listen to us regularly here. But pithy, for sure, to the heart of the matter. By and large, language is a tool for concealing the truth. It so is, isn't it? I've been reacquainting my relationship with Brad Blanton here of Radical Honesty fame. And yeah, language is a great way of flowering up the obvious, isn't it? As we can see all around us at the moment. Again, we'll return to politics possibly after night. Yeah, we will, won't we, with Andy the Doc? And actually, I've got the politics of Portugal to further elaborate on my the help I'm trying to bring to the community with this slide. Look, there's my Portuguese election 2022 slide. And what they called informatics. I'm going to go to a Portugal news item as well called the politics of Portugal. Who are the parties? So we'll have a little read through that in just a moment. So because it's coming up and we may do some coverage on Sunday night. I don't know how exciting we can make that, but we'll do our best in talks with notables from this community about that. So let's see if we can do something on Sunday night to find out who the new Prime Minister and the leading parties will be in Portugal from Sunday when the election takes place. George Carlin quote of the day then, by and large, language is a tool for concealing the truth. So right. And Prof is here, who I think understandably was ruffled by that comment yesterday, but I think it deserves further analysis and penetration. Bom dia todos do Nacional do Não Falar English. Welcome to the No Falar English. Is that the nation of not speaking English? And the Eusebio, I didn't really mess that up yesterday. And it was great to see on Portuguese telly yesterday, the celebration of the great man's birthday. Eusebio there, your namesake. I wonder what you've got for us today and possibly just made that up. The National Day of Not Speaking English. We're going to have one of those here, aren't we? Should we name it and endeavour to do the whole show in Portuguese? It's a good bar to set ourselves. Wouldn't that be amazing? Or we do a special like that, and we can have Portuguese people just laughing and pointing for the whole 90 minutes. I don't think we can keep it up for 90 minutes, he said. That's my erotic novel interjections there, he said. Thunder Duck, love the Groucho disguise. Just look at it this way. Only 98 days till your exchange, license exchange anniversary. Let's celebrate. Let's get a cake made that looks like a driving license. For Casa Duck there. Cindy B's in, everybody. Hello. She got a car as well. Talking of licenses, she got a car. Bon dia Alegria Gumpers. I got a car. What's it like? What colour? First and foremost, Cindy B. And have you enjoyed racing around like a young Portuguese boy racer around the lanes of San Martino de Porto. Looking forward to seeing you burning it up down the street sometime soon. And yeah, all the best to you. What do you say to somebody with a new car? God bless all those who drive in her. And is it a male or a female? Are you calling it, her, she, he, whatever, with your car there? But we'll have a great time, have great fun in your new Portuguese motor. And so many of us, I think, would have not realised, a few years back that we would own Portuguese cars and be driving in Portugal for that matter. So congratulations to you, Cindy. Good morning to you, all you fellow Gumpers this morning. The OLP is here, and thank you for those beautiful pictures. I'll show you some pictures in a minute. Time is moving on, isn't it? But I've got to say hello to everybody. Bon dia, Carl, and everyone from Kate as well this morning. Cindy May, Oregonians. Midlife, James. The man cave greeting is now universal, isn't it? Ubiquitous. And a congratulations to you, James, from the OLP. So let's kicking off today's in Portuguese history. Let's see if I can do this better today. 1935, Dame Portugal is born, perhaps Portugal's greatest living artist. Okay, so perhaps let me make a note of that. Hold on. Drop me a pen, and I'm going to put some Rego pictures in the show notes, goodmorningportugal.com. If you miss anything, I put all the things of note in there, and you can leave me a message there as well, because once these comments and chat have gone, it's very difficult for me to find them again. So go to goodmorningportugal.com or stick it on the Expats Portugal forum or WhatsApp me, and I'll make sure we've got a nice little list, often inspired by the Portuguese days in history, thanks to the prof. So I'll put something about Eusebio as well. Let me make a note about that. Some Eusebio history and Paula Rego as well. Let's pop that in there this morning. Goodmorningportugal.com on the show notes. Hey, I joined Expats Portugal, but I don't have the fun symbol after my name. How do I get this? Yes, and that's for YouTube members. If you subscribe to the YouTube membership, you will get the little sign after your name, like James Holly has. It's funny, isn't it? I was thinking people aren't going to want to sign up just to get a little sign after their name. And actually, maybe they do. Maybe they do actually want to do that. So that's a YouTube thing, OLP, Linda. And I mean, that's not to undermine in any way. And I noticed that you'd become an Expats Portugal premium member. You'll get so many benefits from doing that, I promise you. So make sure, we chat about that. Drop me a line as well, and make sure you get all the benefits and discounts and perks and so on from being an Expats Portugal premium member. But to get the little sign, that's a YouTube membership thing. Feel free to sign up for that as well, and you can do that on the page. Somebody helpful may do that for you in the chat here, and inspire a few others to join up as YouTube members. And I'll send you the occasional exclusive every now and then. But I think so much of the fun is having that little sign, it would appear. Thunder, so funny. I think that's the Wright and Carlin combo this morning, or maybe about the driving license, possibly the driving license. What would Stephen Wright and George Carlin say? What material would they make of the driving license? Can we have a Stephen Wright style joke for driving licenses, please? I guess we're already on the way with that, aren't we? With that earlier effort, which is fantastic. Tuesday. Not Tuesday. Today. What am I thinking? In Portuguese history, it's Wednesday, isn't it? We are talking about quarta-feira today, aren't we? Today in Portuguese history too. Hey, 1963, José Mourinho. We were talking about him only yesterday, weren't we? Born in Setúbal. So that's great. 50. What would he be? 58 then. Suddenly 59. Excellent stuff. Okay. Great. Parabéns. Great. Have a great birthday, Jose, if you are tuned in. I guess if he does tune in, he doesn't say too much. And one of them, actually, one of the people here might be Jose Mourinho, keeping a low profile. Yes, because it would be quite uncomfortable for people to know, or for him, for others to know that he was tuned in. So, mate, which of us do you think? It's like an episode of Scooby-Doo. It's the janitor, isn't it? He's got the janitor mask on. And it's actually Jose Mourinho tuning in every day. And then wincing every time I talk about football, presumably. Talking of football and the Guess Who is proving to be pretty popular, isn't it? Got another one for you. Let me just share this with you on the screen. Who is this? We'll come back to the one we left hanging there yesterday. And who doesn't like something left hanging there in the mornings? Let me take away that Zé Mourinho. comment there and put these up onto the screen. So yesterday's cliffhanger, who is this? And scrolling back, the person we're talking about met this astronaut and is on the left of this picture. And as I said before, was not a witness, although it looks like he could have been a witness, an extra in the witness, an actor in the witness, or kingpin, whichever Amish movie you prefer. And there he is again on the right. Who is that from this community? We better reveal that today. But going forward, who is this from our community? Extra points for being able to... I'd correctly identify his team, his football team preference. But who is that who you know from this community? He is an honorary Gumper and joins us from time to time. He moves among us. Who is that from this community? And of course, we'll reveal at the end of the show today who this is from the community. Which Gumper is this on the left there? Excellent. Keep sending those in, 913-590-303. And what came in overnight was, let me just read this because it just sounds like it might be something for the doc in actual fact, and maybe I should share it. But from yesterday, we have Bonoit, Spring Beauty, pink balls in Tavira today. And it's not that hot, but the sunshine is quite bright. So that could have easily happened in Tavira yesterday. And let's have a look at do you want to see a picture of pink balls at this time of day? There they are. Beautiful, aren't they, in Tavira? That is a fabulous photograph. That makes the cut for the Gumpers calendar, doesn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Those pink balls belong to Anna Olsen. Anna, thank you so much for sending those in. Really, I mean, you've really distinguished yourself as an amazing pictorial and videographic contributor in recent times, and that is no exception. That's absolutely delightful. The color of that sky and the contrast of the green leaves and the pink balls against the sky, that's absolutely beautiful. And oh yeah, we've got some local info news, as well as the big items, the big stories. Do send in your local news, recommendations of any restaurants, any festivals, anything like that happening. And we've got some news in from Simon over at the Rex Bar and Caravaggio, is that called Caravello? I think it's called, isn't it? The bar where we had our meetup in December, which was great fun. Come back to those in just a minute, but we have some lovely photos in. Thank you for these. The OLP have been busy taking pictures in Oregon, and I need to give you the correct legends for these pictures. So there's sunset from our deck. Actually, we need to go back a bit further in time. That's a beautiful sunset from the deck in Oregon, isn't it? From Linda there. Thank you very much for that. And this is the Christmas tree. Yeah, going back further, that's the Christmas, a Christmas picture from Christmas time. It's looking like, is that coincidentally in your garden, or do you have an outside Christmas tree bathed in blue light there? And the deck picture, you saw the deck pic. If you're a Kiwi, you could definitely confuse people with dick pics. What a lovely deck you have, the OLP. Having a coffee there, grabbing a coffee on the deck. Absolutely beautiful. What a fabulous garden. So no wonder you were joining us for the gardening Q&A on Monday, wanting to recreate another paradise here in Portugal. But that's beautiful, and you love it. Great big deck with lots to enjoy. And savor with all the senses there. Watch the clouds drift by. What a beautiful garden that is. Thank you so much. The OLP in the house, and with the pics on 913-590-303. And the information from the Silver Coast. And I know we can be a little bit Silver Coast centric here, because that's where I live. And where I get to know people. But do send these in from all over Portugal. What have we got here then? We have at Caravella's Cafe. Yeah, that's where we had our meetup in December. It was intimate, as it should have been at that time, and in the pandemic regulations. But this Saturday, 29th of January, we have Bluzada, that artist there, and that was Zay Costa, I think, if I can read that print. Maybe someone else can read that on their big screen telly, with an acoustic solo session with Bluzada at Caravella's restaurant and bar cafe there in Foz de Relho, everybody. If you want to make the journey and stay over at an Airbnb, you'll have a great time. Foz is beautiful, And it looks like you could have a great night at Caravella's as well. I really enjoyed the food there. Great couple behind, is it Bruno, if I remember rightly? And his Mrs. Whose name I forget, possibly Suzanne actually, but forgive me. But a great couple who are very hospitable, and we had a great time there in December. And over at the Rex Bar in Obidos, and you'll want to visit Obidos if you haven't been there as well. On the Sunday, the 30th, the Rex Bar presents from 2:00 Dr. Stein with some rocking out. With Dr. Stein. If I take that banner off for a moment, you'll see what's being, rock music, live rock music. With Dr. Stein there, or Steen, is it Dr. Steen? I'm not sure, but you get the drift there. Frankenstein, Dr. Stein we're going to go with, and we have some more, something else to tantalize your senses with. So bookings must be made in advance. There's a Mex at Rex. So, oh dear, Dick's Mex at Rex. Wonder what that means. Hopefully that's a reference to the chef. Is the chef called Dick? But it's Dick's Mex at Rex, the Rex Bar in Obidos, a margarita, a beer, a wine, or a tequila shot. Notice, not all of those. I think, well, you could trade up and have all of them and have a great afternoon. Drink responsibly. Loaded nachos. There's only one way, isn't there, to do nachos? Chili made the old way. Oh, I wonder what that means as well. It just sounds like grandma's chili, possibly then, doesn't it? Or Granddad Dick. And his chili made the old way, and salsa and cornbread and guacamole. And this looks like some of Dick's special sauces on the chili there. A Mexican feast then you can enjoy, and that's the Rex Bar. So you'll have to give them a ring, I think, and book that. 15 euros ahead, but that does look delicious, and it's these sorts of times when I wish I wasn't intermittent fasting. While we're looking at the pickies, I think someone's just sent in another "Who is this?" That's great when you can send me a picture that reduces me to laugh. I thought it was a serious one. Someone saying, "Who is this? Who is this?" from a few years back. That's brilliant. Let me bring that onto the screen. So who is this from our community, everybody? Last spotted in Lisbon, and Gumper. Which famous Gumper is this from our community? Oh, and I'm struggling. I'm struggling to find a Groucho one-liner. And you would think of all the people in the world, he would be the easiest person to. Can we have some Groucho one-liners, please, in the comments this morning? But yeah, which Gumper is that right now? And you can tell the GNR. Superb. Okay, comments before we go to that update on politics. Maybe we won't make it. It's 53 minutes past the 8:00 already, and we're just having fun, aren't we? Hanging out as we do in this first part of the show. Oh, that's superb. Today in Portuguese history, so we've had 1 and 2. There may be a third. And Francis is here. Been busy this January, right? Happy Hump Day. How you all doing? Everyone! And Moaz is here as well. Well done, Moaz. Great to see you here. Hi, Cindy, Baddie, and the MCWT. I think he'd hate that. Of all the people in all the bars in all the world, I think Prof. Eusebio would probably not like an air horn introduction with people blowing their whistles and cheering him onto the stage with his Today in Portuguese History. Keep it down at the back. Jean is here as well. Bom dia todos. Be great to correspond with you, Jean. Thank you for your correspondence. And Cool and the Gang celebration might be the jazz funk track of the day. It's running on a loop in my mind right now. Well done, James. Yeah, great news. And why, thank you, Rema. Yes, on commenting on my fine slug. She commented on his fine slug. So to Baddie from Moaz, obrigado for the introduction. Very nice name. My friends used to call me Santa Claus because I have so many names. Oh, that's a good one. And Mike, Moaz, Abu prefer Moaz, so we'll stick with that, shall we? And Jean's congratulating you too. That seemed really quick from Jean to James. Look at this. Today in Portuguese history 3, the 1531. That sounds like a train in the UK. The train standing on platform 2 is the 1531 to Clapham Junction, calling at Wimbledon. What's Vauxhall and Waterloo? 1531 is the year 1531, not the time of a train. Lisbon earthquake occurred morning of 26th of January between 4 and 5 o'clock. Is that in the morning? Not to be confused, however, with the biggie of 1755. And who doesn't like a tremor in the mornings. And the earth moving. However, to be continued, let's leave that hanging there. And who doesn't like something hanging there in the morning? Morning, Elra and Jean from the OLP. And Moas, I love this show and I don't mind it being long. I don't mind it being long, he said. I like being with Carl and the Gumpers. Yeah, I know. But we have to find a compromise and a happy medium, don't we? Or maybe we don't. Maybe, as George Carlin was saying, compromise is all part of that nonsense of language and just trying to be nice. And really, we should be more honest, authentic, and direct and say, the show is 90 minutes long. Take it or leave it. And if you think it's too long, just watch a bit of it or watch it at double speed. It doesn't come easy to me being rude, not to most people anyway. Mark, bon dia, alegria todos from Mark. How you doing? The earthquake, carrying on with the earthquake. Great to see you here, Mark. The earthquake and subsequent tsunami resulted in approximately 30,000 deaths. So that's the 1531, not the 1755. My goodness, despite its severity, the disaster had been mostly forgotten until the rediscovery of records in the early 20th century. That's unbelievable, isn't it? Us humans, we're extraordinary. In the great view, life seems so cheap, doesn't it? And that's so awful that would be the case, that such a large death toll would be buried in history. But it's true, isn't it, unsadly, about us? OLP, thank you for that, Prof. History lesson this morning. Thanks, James. Now I can't get that. We've got an earworm. Everyone's got blooming celebrate good times. Come on. Din, 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 din. Woohoo! Wow, love honey ad just before joining. What does that mean? Bon dia all. 2 weeks to go before flying to Faro. Yay, coach! Might need to take advice from the doc as my back is playing up. Ooh, no training since Saturday for the coach there. What did you do? Doing up your shoelaces? That's why Velcro's good, isn't it? When you get to a certain age. Bon dia. Or have someone else do it for you. Bon dia but morning, coach. How's Hertfordshire this morning? And looking forward to seeing you here in Portugal soon. Paul's here, everybody. Paul and Anita, good morning to you. Bon dia from a cold and dull Southampton. Oh, my goodness. Back here to celebrate a significant birthday for Lita, but missing Portuguese sunshine. Well, happy 40th to Lita this morning. Do send her my love, won't you, Paul? Love Bubble Off Centre, but it wasn't mine. Another Gumper introduced that. Oh, my word. Okay, I'll show you what we've done for that, shall I? The Bubble Off Centre podcast. And as I said yesterday, this is the sort of stuff that we probably shouldn't be talking about on the Expats Portugal, Bon dia Alegria, Good Morning Portugal live stream. And as you can see from the opening titles, it's all about helping you move to Portugal and love life when you've got to Portugal. And I think we do a pretty good job of that. And if you don't think we do, tell me why, and we'll adjust accordingly. But there are certain times, aren't there, where we're thinking to ourselves, that's not quite right for this show. So we have a relief valve for that now. And it is the Bubble Off Centre podcast, which I think will be quite frank, big issues, with a big heart and a sense of humor. There it is. And that starts on Friday there. So I wonder who that was who said Bubble Off Centre. There you go. Munson and the Ducks Bubble Off Centre podcast, a live stream. So we will go live at 10:30 officially, but we might start a bit earlier and we'll be around for some Feel Good Friday fun. Upsetting people probably, but sticking around to clear up the mess. That's the way to do it. And don't you just want to adjust that spirit level there? That's just all that's wrong for the rational mind, isn't it? There's a certain part of us that wants to sort that out and make it plumb level. And that's exactly what the show's about, is dealing with those things that just can't be easily rationalized or resolved or dealt with an emotional outburst. We're going to dig deep, I think. Is that right, the duck? Am I on the right lines there? Jeff Jackson, Bon dia Alegria, sending positive thoughts to James today for his appointment. Well, it's done, Jeff. He's already come and gone, and he's been successful. I'm sure Jeff will be glad to hear. So isn't that great news, Jeff? Parabéns, and we're singing Celebration. What's that track actually called? It's called Celebrate, isn't it, by Kool and the Gang? That's going around in everybody's head right now, since he mentioned it earlier on. Bon dia from Jim as well. Thanks for tuning in, Jeff. And Jim is here as well. Bon dia. Back in Lisbon. My goodness, Jim, you are a globetrotter extraordinaire. To and fro over. But I think that's the thing about you Americans. You don't think anything about flying about the place, do you? Oh, have I given Doc the link? Because sometimes he says to me with a slightly sarky A link would be nice. He's got it, and he'll be with us soon. Nunu, a great picture from you, meeting all day long in Aroera Golf. Yeah, we know what that means. And Aroera is beautiful. We used to live on the Aroera golf resort for a little while. That's brilliant. Have a great day there. What a beautiful day for playing golf. Or having meetings, I beg your pardon. Bon dia from Lisboa for them, from Jim. How's it going, Jim? Lisboa, Coimbra, and back to the Silver Coast soon, no doubt. Busy day ahead. I'll have to catch up on the replay, says the Duck. We can talk about him. I think he's gone. We can talk about him. And if you might see him later on driving around Lisbon. There he is. Brilliant, James. And thanks, Carl. That's not at all OLP. Thank you. I think the thanks are all mine for you for your lovely pictures. And that's celibate, is it? No, celibate's good times. Come on, do. I don't know what you mean there with so many L's in celebrates there, but I'm sure that's a cracking joke. But I'm a bit slow off the mark there with that one. Antonio F. Bon dia todos. From Antonio, good morning to you and to me. This message: would you mind doing a show about long-term care? We usually don't like to talk about it, but a day will come when we will need to help. It's true. Hold on. And we are in a foreign country and don't speak the language. That's the first question for the Doc this morning. I can see is in his motor. We didn't get to the politics of Portugal, but we can probably do that with the Doc. Let's welcome him to the screen now, shall we? In a lay-by. Let's be careful for people knocking on the window, police officers or people out dogging this time of the morning, and tapping on the window of the Doc. Who now? Oh, he's on the move. He's on the move. Would you like us to come back to you, Doc, or are you?
No. This is a nice, quiet back road.
He's like a taxi driver. We're going to have a conversation with the medically trained taxi driver, because I think those are the duties you've probably been on this morning, aren't they, Doc? And
I do. To be honest, I do feel like a taxi driver at times, but I enjoy driving, so it's not a problem. It's actually a job I wouldn't mind doing if I was actually looking for a job.
Oh, okay. Yes, you'd be great at that, actually. Because you could trap them in the back and talk to them about politics, couldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I've just had to put my stun visor down, but I'll get it up in a minute. It's probably totally obscuring the light to my face. Might be a good thing, of course.
Not at all. But you did just say, "I'll get it up in a minute," and that's the sort of that's the sort of talk we live for here. Well, I do anyway. Here on the Good Morning Portugal. Looking forward to the Doc. Oh, he's already got it up. There you go. So you got a slightly scratchy sound. Let's see how that works for folks. So you're on your I guess you're on your kind of hands-free thing there, aren't you? But we'll bear with that. What I'm noticing is the beautiful Leiria district sunlight. Isn't it amazing at the moment, the weather here in Portugal? It's cool, but we're getting some beautiful bright days, aren't we, Doc?
It's absolutely fantastic. If you ever wondered why people like us move to Portugal from the UK, it's mornings like this at the end of where we have beautiful sun. Why is my phone ringing? Beautiful sun.
No, it's okay actually. Your sound quality. Your sound quality has improved, although a little lower now. So it's not quite as scratchy, but it is. You're sounding a little bit faint, but that might have been because of all the.
Carl, I'm gonna have to come off and then come back on again.
We will watch out for you. If you could come back with that sound, that's perfect. We'll speak to you soon.
Okay, bye.
All right. What we'll do is we'll go to this political article in the. We'll come back later with the Doc, of course, and ask anything about health in Portugal. Wednesday being Hump Day, and ask anything about Portugal generally. Don't forget that you can ask anything about Portugal today. We're looking at the politics because, of course, the general election's coming up on Sunday. Look, okay, let's come back to the politics and the Doc in just a moment. Loving the face paint. So who is this? That I'm showing you with the face paint. Who is that from our community? That's hanging there, and we'll let you know who the other person was as well before the end of the show. I was born in '62, says Moaz, just like you should say Mourinho. By the way, who is? That's great. Well, I was going to say famous football manager, but obviously not that famous for some people. Man, I'd struggle to go undercover. I always look the same, even my ID pic from 16 years old. Well, we're still happy to see that. Some of these need to be easy as well. So send in your pics. As long as you're happy for them to be shared on YouTube, send in an old pic and we'll play the guessing game. Who is this? At MOAS, there are care homes in Portugal set up for English-speaking folks. I haven't researched, but I suspect they'll be cheaper than in the UK. And don't forget, we were thinking of having a Fawlty Towers-style residential home, which would be amazing. And the Doc could be on the staff, couldn't he? Morning, Doc! Morning, Major! There you go. That's better. Is everything sorted out now?
Well, yeah, not really, because I can't hear you. This is really...
most irregular. And I wonder what the Doc's prescription was for people who are irregular. We've lost him. We'll come back. We'll try him again a bit later on. We'll try him again. We'll get there. You know that. And so, is this your way of saying it's your birthday? I think it's same year, not same day, right? But maybe it is. Let's find out, shall we? Moaz, is it your birthday today? But thank you, Coach Turner, for that input on the elderly folks' homes. The vintage people. What should we call it? A vintage people experience, or a vintage experience for people? No, and it's an experience for vintage people, isn't it? Hold on, is he frozen on the screen there, or is he okay? No, Doc having a few tech troubles. We'll come back to the Doc. Victoria, had your morning walk already? And people are checking in about each other's constitutionals this morning. That's so nice. You know how in some of these old folks' homes, there's one of those little communication systems on the wall where the warden of the establishment just buzzes the person in their apartment and says, "Are you all right in there?" And the person goes, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just having me ham sandwich or whatever, a cup of tea, nice cup of tea to start the day. Thank you. See you later." That's what it's like in an English sheltered accommodation place. This is the equivalent, isn't it? This is almost the equivalent. With Antonio, Victoria, have you had your morning walk already? And then she presses the buzzer. Yeah, I've had that. Thank you. And we got to carry this show on for years in that spirit, haven't we? No, because I didn't mention the day or month. So it's not Moaz's birthday. And Jose Mourinho hasn't been so successful of late. He has an amazing career. And what a guy. I mean, he's so charismatic. He's one of those people that comes off the page and out of their context, isn't he, Jose Mourinho? Great bit of eye candy as well. Handsome fella. Always a good visual, as well as a great manager to have anywhere. And of course, his pithy insights about the game, and you never quite knew what he was going to come out with. And maybe we'll have some good Jose Mourinho. Let me just put that as well, because I might be able to put a great Mourinho quote in the show notes as well. Let's see how the Doc's doing right now. I've got a feeling this is going to be great now. How are you doing there, Doc?
It is good now. Yeah, good for me. Is it good for you?
Perfect. There's another line from the erotic novel.
Absolutely.
Very, very. You must be a very considerate lover, judging by how you. You don't have to answer that.
I thought you were going to say, judging by all the women that you have writing in. But
I don't like to embarrass you with those.
No, I heard you talking about eye candy, and I thought you were being very kind to me, and then you said Jose Mourinho. So, you know.
None meant, no offense meant, but you know what I mean. I mean, what a charismatic and excellent fellow he is, and it's his birthday today. So from one lot of eye candy from the football pitch to the eye candy of the medical world, here he is, Andy the Doc Thompson. How are you?
Good, thank you, and bon dia to all my friends here in the community. And I'm going to shout out to a few. Cindy B, who I first met last Thursday or Friday. Friday, I think. Or was it Saturday? Might even be Saturday. Yeah, who cares when you're retired, yeah? Yeah, Cindy B, delightful. Diane and oi. Is it Bob?
Jay.
Jay. Yeah, Jay as well. Who we all met up with Hank and Connie there, and Hank and Connie, unfortunately, finally being dragged back to the US by the tethers of their jobs. So we hope to see them again very, very soon. And James, who we met down in Ericeira on Sunday. A great time down there.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic.
We have documentary evidence of all those meetings.
Yeah,
especially when all the tequila was being drunk. We've got the negatives, but this is the only one we can bring to the screen right now. And there's a lovely gathering, the Riot of Gumpers in Ericeira, I think. That's a lovely picture of all of you. It really is. And I mistakenly referred to Hank and Connie as Honk and Canny, which must happen from time to time, mustn't it? Honk and Canny back in the
country. Apparently one of our number did that, but I couldn't possibly say who it was.
Honk and Kelly.
However, she's still in bed at this time of the morning today.
Well,
anyway.
Yeah, well, they'll see this later on. They'll hear us laughing at them sometime later when we're miles away, which is great. So you've been having a great time by the sound of it, and isn't it lovely that this can be happening now? The Gumpers are meeting up all over the place offline.
Absolutely, and we have been having a great time, but it's always tempered by other things. So apart from the disappointment of seeing Hank and Connie go back to the States, we now know what to do if you have a car crash, having been in one ourselves.
What?
Yeah. Horrific damage to our car. The sum total of which was a scratch across the front and the number plate flying off down the road. So I jest when I say horrific damage, but the other car has a big dent in it. No one hurt, thankfully. But yeah, it entailed an hour's wait while the police came and took statements and examined paperwork, etc., etc. But at least we now know what to do in the event of a crash. So that's all, another learning step under the belt. And also a shout out to Abbeygate Insurers, who, because our car insurance is up at the end of the week, and a very rapid, very easy insurance of a car in Portugal that's still registered in the UK, that is adapted for my disability, and at a price which was a third of what we paid last year in the UK. So there you go.
Very good, very good. Always good to be able to share those sorts of that sort of information. But going back to the RTA, the key thing you mentioned there is waiting for the GNR, and sometimes you wonder, don't you, when you're in Portugal, why are those people standing by their cars that have just crashed into each other in the middle of a busy road? And that's what you have to do, right? You've got to leave your vehicle where it is until the police arrive. Is that correct?
Well, allegedly. In fact, it was the PSP, not the GNR. But we actually did move our car because the two cars together were obstructing 2 out of 3 lanes in the middle of rush hour.
Yeah.
And the fact, so I did move my car, and in fact, we were also, as a result of being brought to a halt by this other vehicle, in the middle of a yellow box. So I thought it was prudent to move it, so I did move it.
Yeah.
And we weren't remonstrated with by the police. They asked us to show them where the collision point was on the road. So the two of us agreed the exact point at which the collision took place. And that was all the police were really interested in, to be honest, which was sensible because it showed that the other car was traveling the wrong way down a lane which was reserved for traffic coming in the other direction. And therefore, had they not been in the lane facing the wrong way, we would not have collided with them. So there we go.
That must have been pretty terrifying. Did everything go into slow motion for a little while?
Yeah, for about a quarter of a second. Yeah.
Horrible. But you're okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got the number plate, which is a little bit cracked, screwed back on, our car's fine. And I think theirs was drivable.
Okay, so modern cars, isn't that great? How safe modern cars are. Well, I'm just glad to hear you're all okay. That's fantastic. So it's a discretionary thing. I mean, in some ways, if you can leave the vehicles where they are so the police can assess the situation, that's good. But you can make a little bit of a discretionary judgment call yourself, so as you're not sort of tampering with the evidence, I suppose.
I think so. I mean, you know, the other car, we were disengaged. It wasn't as if our car was locked into the other car. They had stopped a little way down the road. The fact that my car was no longer where it came to rest was neither here nor there, really.
Okay, good. One car locked on another. It sounds like a 70s sort of sitcom joke where an old lady comes out and throws a bucket of water over both cars that are locked together outside her house. Okay, so let's say hello. Joao F's here, everybody. I haven't said hello to Joao F this morning, who's saying, good morning, people. And random note from Ian, Coach Turner, who wants to know about his bad back. You've got to give us a bit more detail on that. You can't just say, Doc, I've got a bad back. What should I do? Because sometimes it's rest. Sometimes it's keep going, isn't it, these days? But anyway, Foz do Aurélio and San Martino featured on A Place in the Sun a few days ago. Fantastic property choices. I tell you what, we have A Place in the Sun's Cheryl Smith with us on the show tomorrow. So she is at the Figs on the Fun show, which is their development, their beautiful idea retreat down there in the Algarve. I'm putting the link to that in the comments now. So Cheryl from Figs on the Fun show will be with us tomorrow. She is being featured on Place in the Sun very soon and has kindly agreed to come on the show tomorrow. So Vitor Costa tomorrow talking about the north of Portugal, and from around 9:30, Cheryl Smith joining us, who is going to be on A Place in the Sun very soon. So I'm delighted to report that. And thanks for that, Coach Turner. Great places, Foz and San Martino. San Martino de Puerto Rico as it warms up here. Bon dia todos from the Porky Feet Andy this morning, and an erotic novel entry, Doc. She couldn't help but be aroused and somewhat overwhelmed by his huge deck. That was from an earlier, giving you context there. Beautiful pictures in from Linda in Oregon of her big deck earlier this morning. Bon dia, Joao y Antonio. So lots of lovely greetings this morning. And to the coach, I didn't know that they have nursing homes set up for English speakers here in Portugal. That's just amazing. I might set up a charity group serving the elders in the expat community who want to stay is that in their own homes. So do you know much about this, Doc? And, you know, Moaz is absolutely right to bring this up. We're all the prediction is we're all getting older. It seems, and we might, and we might need care beyond the levels of which we're able to give ourselves, or even those close to us can give us. And it would appear that there are already homes. That's not the right word, is it? But facilities, places,
large,
LARS. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
For the oldies, right? For the vintage. Have you got any, you won't have any experience of it, obviously no personal experience, but are you aware of this phenomenon in Portugal?
No, and that comes as a surprise, a welcome surprise. I mean, I hope that by the time I lose my faculties, I might have picked up enough Portuguese to be able to continue to communicate even in an old people's home. And you know, we think of old people's homes and we think, oh, you know, the older generation, most of them don't speak English, blah blah blah. But actually, by the time we're going in there, it'll be people of our age, and many more will. But it's great that there are homes set up, you know, for English speakers. I would like to think that maybe we could have homes set up to be sort of half and half, and you know, try and encourage a bit of integration even in our advancing years. But yeah, I think that's a fantastic thing.
That's a pretty good aspiration, isn't it? Because that would be so great. I mean, we've come here, haven't we, to integrate and have fun and enjoy the Portuguese life. If you could have a great balance, I mean, and it's understandable, isn't it? People in old age do like the familiar. And it would be great to hang out with people who you've got some things in common with from the old place and the old days. But if you could mix that up with Portuguese culture, wouldn't that be fantastic?
Absolutely. And you know, I've heard of people who are starting to slip into the world of dementia, who don't speak Portuguese, who are over here. And I mean, it'd be very difficult to get a proper assessment, in a second language of anything like that. But the ability to be able to be cared for in an English-speaking environment would be so important.
Yeah, superb. So a great idea, and so I think the idea of the Expats Portugal retirement home has got legs still. The Faulty Towers inspired. Well, you're on the staff. I don't know why you're laughing.
I'm quite happy to be on the staff to start with, but in the certain knowledge that I would be a client very quickly, and in the knowing what this crowd would be like to look after, I pity the future staff, to be honest.
That's right. And some of them saying, did you hear that Stephen Wright joke? Yes, you told it to me at breakfast. It's like just one Stephen Wright joke a day, please. Here's the view from Nuno. This is Nuno's office today. That's the Aroera golf course. It's a fabulous place. It really is. And that's where allegedly he's having a series of meetings in that busy boardroom this morning. And we had... what's her name? The Portuguese artist, the great artist. That was in an early. Rego. I'm just trying. It's Rego, isn't it? I'm just trying to think of her first name. If you could reassert that for us, Eusebio, that would be great, because we've got so many comments again this morning. So we're liking the idea anyway of the old folks home. Welcoming questions about anything to do with health in Portugal, or anything to do with Portugal, basically. Andy and I would be happy to take more general questions, but he is an ex-GP from the UK, so he can handle the health questions too. I don't think that's one of them, is it, Coach Turner? My deck's looking very dirty this morning. Jet wash it, for goodness sake. You're a British man of a certain age. You should be jet washing it every Sunday, for goodness sake. I'm getting my bicycle today, says Fox Crypto Boss. Congratulations. People told me they don't steal in here. I got a free bike from a friend 2 weeks ago. It got stolen. Okay. Then I got another free bike, a child's one. Can we see a picture of you on your child's bike? I did fix it up. I bought a €3 light. The lights got stolen. I don't know why I'm laughing, but there's a certain sort of comic pathos to all of this, isn't there? I think maybe you should buy a chain next. Go back to the Chinese loggia where it sounds like you got your €3 lights, and buy yourself a chain. And if you see the culprit, grab your lights back and your other bike. You might see them. You might see the person with the old bike and the lights riding around. Where are you? Where do we need to avoid? Antonio, obrigado for the information. I'm not really into soccer or sports, but I'm planning to learn everything about Portugal. Hold on a minute. We must have had some news in about Jose Mourinho, but we might have missed it. So you can reinsert that, please. Enter that into the comment in the chat if we've missed something there. I really want to know about healthcare. Okay, so we've got a good combo. You can ask questions of the doc. Serenity are great as well. Do check in with Serenity. I think Moaz has got a good experience. I have Fox Crypto Boss. Serenity is going to cost you €10 a month, and they'll take care of business for you on a case management basis. Find them in our business directory. I suggest we do a sideshow just to give room for James to celebrate with us. I suspect he'll be talking about his Portuguese residency and his CEF appointment for the rest of the week. Yeah, so look forward to the next podcast. James celebrating his residency. It's a 2-hour podcast with James just talking about how happy he is. I'm not a resident yet. Do I just go public or also private? What would you say then? It's a good one, isn't it, Doc? Public or private here in Portugal?
Okay, so if you are properly resident, then it's public all the way. You get free access to the SNS. Until you are resident, it actually depends on your nationality. So if you're a national of the EU, you get automatic free SNS. If you and also it depends on your age. So if you are a national of a country that has an agreement with the Portuguese, and you register a particular form with the Social Security, and that form would be issued by your home government to say that you are in receipt of pension, a state pension, then you would get immediate free SNS. I'm trying to think if you actually need to be resident to register the S1. You didn't before Brexit, but I'm not sure, so I may be wrong on that. I think that the answer is if you're not European and you're not resident, then you go private until you are resident, and then you go public.
There you go, Fox Crypto Boss. Anything else you want to know, just ask. You're in the right place this morning. Some great messages coming in, Doc, and no doubt more questions here. But look at this, our pal Frank. And this is something I thought I'd never read out on the screen here on Good Morning Portugal. Hey, Doc, became a teetotaler, just like a good friend of mine. Never felt better. Recommended. The Hellraiser.
Oh, my
Frank.
God.
He's hung up his
cocktail
shaker.
He can afford a Tesla with the savings now.
Okay, if you're a Tesla dealer, get in touch with Frank this morning. He's got a spare cash for it. That's and as much as we're bantering you there, Frank. What an amazing thing, and I'm so glad you feel better. I actually don't feel better for it. I think I'm slimmer for it. I was admiring myself in the mirror. Someone's got to this morning, and I thought I've never had this flat a belly, so I can almost see abs in the right light, and with the
that's the horizontal slats from the blind.
Oh, okay. Well, I recommend it anyway. So get yourself some blinds, stand in the right light, and you can have abs. And stop drinking for a little bit. So, Frank, well done, mate. As much as we're giving you a bit of grief about it, that is fantastic news. And is that for good or what? What's happening there? But lovely news, and so good to hear from you, because he's still got his Hellraiser picture. That's your Uncle Frank there. I'll take you out for a drink. The guy's still in the picture, but that's not him anymore. Moaz says. Got cut off. Wanted to say that Michael from Serenity should discuss the topic. Yeah, I made a note of that, Moaz. When Michael's back on his residency, I think it's the first Tuesday of the month, we'll get him talking about getting ready, making the necessary arrangements to make sure you've got good care in place for the rest of your life. I've played Arrowera. If he finds a dozen tight-liced, that is tight-liced, isn't it, and not tit-liced, then mine says, stop giggling in a puerile way. That's not like us at all, Doc. And that's where he might find his balls later on for Eusebio. So there you go. There's a
if they're red.
It would be easier if they're red, and or pink, even the pink balls that we showed earlier. Oh yes, somebody's got pink balls this morning, Doc. Is there anything you can do for this? Let me just bring that back on. Look at this, Intavera.
I saw it earlier. Very nice, beautiful,
absolutely beautiful. Okay, so back to the comments and the questions. An expat elderly home. What a riot! I love the idea, says James. You could be our resident psychotherapist in there, of course. What secrets you would hold and what help you could give to people. I heard Michael from Serenity saying on another YouTube channel he's willing to talk about what? He talks to other YouTube channels. Right, that's it. But I don't think those YouTubers want to do it. I think you, Michael, should do it here. He will do. Bon dia, you beauties. Have no fear. Frank is here. And yes, new Frank is here. And I'm on my way to 59. So there's a few gathering around that. I'm going to call it a demographic. I'm only 60, says Moaz there, and Elra. This is difficult when you do the comments backwards, as it were, but I'm just trying to find some questions this morning, so I don't want to miss them for people. I'm actually totally being able to attend this show again. Joao F, it's good to have you back. And a morning, Doc, for you from the OLP there, Linda and Lewis. And morning, Doc, from Owen, who was with you.
Oh, now, Owen, I cannot thank him enough. He came and stayed over with us twice and cooked beautiful food each time. I tell you what, an absolute legend, and I hope something kicks off for you, mate, soon.
Well, yeah, it could be could be kitchen surfing, because there's couch surfing, isn't there, where people come and stay on your sofa. He could come and stay in your kitchen, couldn't he? And he could work his way all around Portugal, kitchen surfing. So put him up, give him a budget to buy the food with, and he'll cook you up some amazing food. There's a possibility for Owen, but I think he's got his business model all under control there. But he's our resident chef, and he's with us on the third Wednesday of every month now with a live cooking demo or talking about food and cookery here in Portugal. Looking forward to the next one. Owen, this is funny. Look, this is Joao we're eavesdropping on a conversation between Joao and us. That's brilliant. You in the antique shop is camouflage.
No. Play nice.
The customers had trouble finding you. Antonio, on a serious matter here, if you have a car accident, no one is injured, and both drivers agree in filling in the Declaración Amigável, the accident form, there's no need for the police. Oh, good to know, Antonio F. And that, of course, should be with your insurance document. There's a little form, isn't there, that comes and should be in your glove box. Why it's called a glove compartment or glove box anymore, nobody knows. Because who drives with gloves on it? I bet there is somebody here who drives with gloves on, but you don't see that very often, do you? Maybe Owen drives with oven gloves on sometimes. But there you go. That's what you can do. Thank you for that, Antonio. Really helpful. Mil perdois. What's this mean? I almost oversaw you. Oh, so 1,000 apologies, maybe. How are you this morning? People get very touchy about not saying hello to each other. I like that, and this is what we want in the old folks' home. If we're all living together, we can't have any of those sorts of politics where you say hello to some people and not others. And OLP's come up with a fantastic name. We're not the village people; we're the vintage people. So we can all dress up as well, can't we? There can be a cowboy there. I know who that's going to be. There can be a construction worker. You could dress up as a doctor again with one of those great lights on your forehead, can't you? And your stethoscope.
No, I could.
Someone else can then. What that will confuse people in the vintage people.
I just stick a stethoscope round my neck. That's as far as I'd go.
I did wonder where you were going to stick that stethoscope for a moment there.
No, you can relax. You can relax.
This is where it started. I used to own an antique store in Phoenix, and I just fit in with all the stuff in the store. Says that's fantastic. Camouflage in an antique shop. So here we go. Medical question now. So my wife had several medical issues that require specific prescriptions. We're unsure if they're available in Portugal or the EU at large. Is there a recommended site or a source that we can look up and see which meds need to be imported and how to go about that process? And if it is difficult to import prescriptions to Portugal? Great question, AJ Creek.
Okay, so there is a site which I have posted in the forum, and I think we've posted before here, and which I'm just trying to recall the name of it and having difficulty right now. But if you can't find it, then reach out to me on the forum and I'll send it you. So right. That tells you all the licensed medications and the price you'll pay as an SNS user. And even if you have a further reduction as a not very well paid pensioner, I suspect that won't apply to most here. Anything that's not licensed in Europe cannot be imported, or cannot be imported legally. And I know that there are ways that people find around that, but essentially wrapping it in brown paper and hoping it gets past customs would be one of them. But there are also ways of finding pharmacies in other European countries who would be prepared to supply. But mostly anything you need is going to be on that list, or there will be a very close substitute.
That's the thing, isn't it? They do have different names. That's the first thing you need to be aware of, isn't it? You're not going to find like for like necessarily with brand names.
Generic names, yeah. I mean, you need a generic name, and then you need to search on the generic name. But there will be medications that are licensed here that aren't licensed in America or that aren't licensed in the UK. and they will be very close approximations to stuff that's licensed in the America or UK, but which isn't licensed here. So, that's the sort of substitution I'm really talking about.
I need to ask you something about prescriptions, Doc, because I've not had very many in my life, thankfully, and I don't really understand how it works. Apart from the NHS, of course, where we're both from, that's the health service in the UK. You go to see a doctor, and they, you find out what you want. They'll prescribe, and they give you a piece of paper which you take to the pharmacy, and you get your stuff. Is this one of the? It's not a perk exactly, but that's one of the things about being a doctor. When you're licensed as a doctor, you're able to prescribe anywhere in the world, are you? You can, or where you're licensed. You wherever you're licensed.
Only where you're licensed. So
okay.
I now can't prescribe at all because I'm no longer licensed in the UK. I was never licensed anywhere else. Actually, I was almost licensed in Canada, but the stroke kind of cut across that. Yeah. But yeah, so you have to be licensed where you're actually prescribing.
And that's what part of the licensing is that when you make your diagnosis and you pick the right prescription and you write the prescription, and that's the command to the pharmacist to issue what's on the piece of paper.
Exactly.
Okay, sorry to go right back to basics there, but it occurred to me, how does this work? I have to say Serenity as well. Mentioning Serenity there, AJ Creek, they can be very helpful with this and their team. So we have got a fantastic team here with the Doc and with Serenity, and Nunu comes into that with the health insurance angle, and he'll know a bit about it as well. So we have a fantastic board to help with such things. So AJ Creek, there's the answer to your massive question that hides both me and the Doc temporarily from the screen. Which some people will thank you for. Getting ready to move to sell the condo and to wait for the visa approval process. Wrong order, says Scott, but need to keep life interesting. I quite like it. Mixing it up a bit there, Scott. Nice one. That's fantastic. And look, of course, it's Australia Day today to all the Aussies out there. So happy Australia Day to all the Aussies in our vicinity. I don't have pain and I don't take painkillers to the Doc, but I can't take a car ride for more than 20 minutes. Flying, this is discomfort then, presumably. Flying is so difficult and I won't be able to deal with all the government agencies. So I'm not sure if there's a question in there. But I suppose one thing we could take from that is if you're struggling for disability or illness in dealing with the government agencies, can you appoint an attorney, a power of attorney, or a surrogate, or something along those lines?
So a couple of things. Disabled people go to the front of the queue everywhere, not just government agencies, and also they almost universally don't even require appointment even during COVID time. So as a disabled person, you turn up, wave your disability proof, and everything just opens up for you, and everyone ushers you to the front of the queue, quite rather embarrassingly at times. But most of the time I'll take it, especially now my wheelchair is not working for the moment. So yeah, there we are. If that still doesn't make you able to deal with them, then I think at least one of our community has had the experience of the president of the local freguesia coming to help her fill in a form.
Yeah, it was a camera. It was the camera, coming to the house.
The camera, yeah. So I don't think that's quite in the legislation, but it's the sort of humanitarian approach that most Portuguese people take, even when they're apparently wrapped up in so much bureaucracy. And yes, there is the ability to appoint an attorney. Any solicitor is not going to turn down the ability to earn money. However, in Portugal, that profiteering motive is massively reduced in comparison with the UK and I suspect the States. So a few weeks ago, I needed a document notarizing. I walked in without an appointment, and €7 later and 10 minutes later, I walked out with my notarized copy, which was just incredible. In the UK, it would have been probably at least 10 times as much or more, and I'd have probably had to wait 2 weeks for an appointment.
Indeed. So there you go, Moaz. I think it could be favourable if that's what I was taking from that comment there. This not exactly a medical question. How do we keep witches and wizards away from the house? Although you might have a comment on that, Doc. Random info alert. Keep your eye out for ceramic frogs outside Portuguese houses. It's to ward off witches and wizards. Loads round here. I mean, what do you do if you want to encourage?
Is that loads of witches and wizards or loads of ceramic frogs? And I think Caldash has a variant on ceramic frogs.
It does, doesn't it? Now, the famous Caldash ceramic. I wonder what happens if you surround your house with those. Somebody's going to send in a picture, aren't they? You're going to get some interesting corners, I suspect. If you okay. And something you said earlier, I think show your disability proof and everything opens up for you. That's going to be a line from the erotic novel as well. Write that down, James.
Talking of disability proof, I now have my Portuguese blue badge. Ta-da!
Oh, well done. Was that easy to do?
Actually, it was incredibly easy to do on the very difficult to navigate IMT website. But once I'd got the hang of the IMT website, there's a little section there where if you have got a certificado multiusos de incapacidad, you can just stick the details in, and I think it was about 3 weeks later this turned up in the post.
Very good. That's easy, isn't it? And that's part of the laid-back attitude to disability access and parking here. The interesting thing about disability parking in Portugal outside the supermarket is everyone uses the disability spaces, don't they? But
the other interesting thing about parking in general in Portugal is that as long as you're not obstructing anywhere or anything, or even if you are obstructing, as long as it's going to be less than half an hour, no one gives a toss.
Exactly.
You can double park. You can park on the end of roundabouts. You can park on the pavement as long as people can still get past. There you are. I mean, and
it can be, what is it? It's negotiated. So in a way that in the UK, I mean, people come to blows, don't they, and get really angry about parking in disabled spaces, which I understand. But here in Portugal, if you just, for whatever reason, need to be near the shop or you can't be bothered and there's no one else around, people tend to park in the disabled space. However, if you are disabled and you come along and somebody's done that and you just hoot your horn, they'll look at you and you'll just say, I need to park there. They'll just move, won't they? It'll come down to human communication, which is fantastic. Hoot your horn, chat,
And of course, the other thing is that given that everyone double parks, if you park across the back of them and disappear and come back 3/4 of an hour later and show your blue badge, they're just going to shrug their shoulders and say, "Okay, mea culpa."
All Portuguese people speak Latin as well, don't they?
Well, mea culpa. I don't know if mea culpa is a Portuguese phrase, but I suspect any Portuguese person would understand it.
Indeed, with a gesture of maybe just touching your heart as well, and it will all be fine. So sort of like village people, but vintage people. That is fantastic. OLP. I've written that down as well. Deagle's here, everyone. Bon dia, Carl. Checking in late. We'll watch the first 30 minutes later. That's 30 minutes and 15 minutes of Portuguese then for you today, Deagle. Hello, mate, and great to talk to you. And sorry to hear of that news that you sent me. I hope you and family are doing well. Northern Ireland stopping PCR tests for entry into the country from the 11th of February. Is Portugal going to ease up on entry into the country? Doc, have you heard anything? And are we officially endemic yet? That's what we want to know.
No, I haven't heard that. And of course, Northern Ireland is part of the United Kingdom, so they're taking a very cavalier attitude to their opening up, as they have done. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but they will relax that before Europe does. Europe generally, or Portugal in particular, and that's just the way it is, I guess.
Okay,
And
no
one in Portugal is going to announce a further slackening this side of the election. I think it would be electorally damaging to anyone who proposed that.
Yes. Now it's 45 minutes past 9, Doc.
That was, did you like that smooth transit into the political sphere?
I really did. And I am so surprised in this week running up to the Portuguese election. We haven't mentioned politics once. That's what happened. What's going on here? But yes, interesting that you should say perhaps both gestures are politically linked. In Portugal, no one's going to say, yay, let it rip, or whatever the Portuguese equivalent is. Everyone's playing it safe, aren't they, this until Sunday when the election takes place. And do you suspect then that Boris is using anything he can to curry favour with people and saying, go out and party just like I maybe did, wait for the Sue Gray report, is his way of surviving a little bit longer?
I think his days are numbered. The question is, no one knows the number. He's certainly on very, very thin ice, and I don't think that opening up will do him any damage. But I think it's just a distraction. But in terms of Portuguese politics, I think Sunday's result is almost a foregone conclusion. The Socialists will win. They won't win an absolute majority. The smaller parties, so the official opposition would be the PSD, unless the Socialists decide to go into a grand coalition. And the otherwise, the alternative is that the PSD becomes the official opposition, and the smaller left parties support the Socialists, of which I'm a member of one of them. There are now three on your list there: the Livre, CDS-PP, and BE. In fact, even you could say that PAN is almost potentially a socialist leaning party as well. On the other side, we have the Liberal Initiative and Chega. They stand to the right of PSD. PCP as well on the left there.
Yeah. Okay. So then that's what the Prime Minister's busy doing, isn't he, at the moment, is getting his sort of coalition together, right, to strengthen his influence in the Parliament, should he win.
Well, that's the plan, but I suspect the Socialists will have less members of Parliament on Monday than they do now. But the thing is, the big question is, which way do they move? Because the a grand coalition with the PSD will lead to the sort of policies of further austerity, which were clearly so successful and popular last time, or they rely on support from the left of the parties which were the ones that brought the government down when the PSD, the Socialist Party, proposed a budget which was not oriented enough to the working class, to the majority in Portugal. So it'll be an interesting outcome whichever way it goes.
And by the sound of it, a sort of workable but not very dynamic coalition.
The coalition would be, in my view, an absolute nightmare for the majority of people in Portugal. It's whether or not the majority understand that.
Okay, so those are the options then. Basically, is that people sort of come to their senses and think, I need to nail my colours to the mast and really get behind a party and hope that they have a majority and can bring about change, or it will go into the murkiness that a lot of people are familiar with all over the world now, which is just inaction. I mean, it's an interesting, a dichotomy, looking for strong political power change and getting behind a party is what you would hope for if it's your party. But then if it's not, you can take comfort in a kind of neutral coalition, can't you, that stops damage being done?
Yeah, the cynic in me says that the socialists will rely on votes from the left, and will rely on the right when the left propose something too radical, like over the budget question. The Socialist Party decided that what the left wanted was too radical. The PSD at this point in the electoral cycle made the decision to not support the government. However, straight after an election, no one is going to be stupid enough to think that the electorate want yet another election so soon. So the Socialist Party will be able to kind of balance between the left most of the time and the right when they need to.
Okay, so we shall see. Monday will bring a new the result, and we'll see what goes on then. And that's when maybe they'll start talking again. Somebody more confident to be talking about pandemic policy at that point. Okay, Owen, give Donna J a ring. That's the thing to do. Or just remind me after the show. That's what that message was about. Chris is here. My other coach, 2 of my coaches here this morning. And my vitality coach from a PE point of view, physical exertion, I'm going to call it. That's Ian Turner. But Chris Rattenbury, my old boxing coach. Greetings, Cobra. Might ask anything. Does Portugal have SEN schools for child behaviour or special units? Great to see you here, Chris. And they do.
They do. There's one just up the road from us, actually, here in Leiria.
Leiria, that would suit you, Chris. Nice and close to the Silver Coast. And a lot going on in Leiria as well. I think you'd love it there. Great to see you here this morning. Question for the doc. My MRI says that I do not have a herniated disc. That's probably good news, isn't it? I have osteophytes. And the doctor said I don't need surgery. Do you know a good neurosurgeon orthopedic in Lisbon? And if not, what's the best way to find one, doc?
I don't know a good neurosurgeon, orthopedic surgeon anywhere outside the UK, having not needed one. That's not true. I had an orthopedic appointment the other week, but that was for my foot, rather far removed from the spine. But you can go on, if you are looking at public provision, you can go onto the SNS site and look at the performance and the ratings from patients and the waiting times, etc. On the SNS website. As for private, I'm afraid I can't help you at all there.
If you do have private healthcare insurance, you will be guided in the right direction as well. But that's a great resource. Looking at the SNS listings there and finding out peer-reviewed status of people and an assessment of people's skills. So there you go, Moaz. Thanks, Doc. That's brilliant. I have some issues going back to Fox Crypto Boss. Some health use. I'm on quinine in the UK, which I think is not available here. That sounds like such an old-fashioned remedy, doesn't it? Quinine, which still makes its presence felt in tonic, doesn't it, or a tonic water?
What's water, yeah. It's from a bark of a tree, and I can't remember the tree, and I don't know if it'll grow here. Of course, if it will, then there are those in the community who will probably tell you how to extract it and use it. I wasn't aware that quinine wasn't available. That's a shame, because it is a very old remedy and very effective.
Okay, for what sort of conditions? So not unlike aspirin, which again is tree bark, isn't it? And don't be licking any old tree, Fox Crypto Boss. What's quinine traditionally used to treat?
Well, the one that springs to mind, although there are others, but the one that springs to mind, and it won't be this one, is malaria. Okay, yeah. And one of the reasons why why we drank so much tonic was that the quinine in the tonic in the tropics, the quinine in the tonic did help protect against India, so particularly against malaria, particularly in India. But there are other conditions. I think mostly rheumatological, but bearing in mind I haven't been a GP for nearly 10 years now, and my memory isn't as good as it used to be. I couldn't tell you what the other potential conditions are.
Okay, well, that's interesting though, and maybe others will come to your aid there. Pop it in the forum, and Ask Serenity will be my suggestion to you, Fox. Crypto Boss, a one-liner from Groucho Marx. I've had a wonderful evening. Unfortunately, this wasn't it. Brilliant. And a response to Coach Turner's Dirty Deck. Oh my, Ian. Erotic novel entry there. The Jazz Funk Faja do Dia this morning is Jelly Beans, was Dogodona. Oh, that's a tune. Oh, I'm so funked up this morning. I'm glad to hear it. Chris, Portugal, here I come. George Clinton, Parliament, the mothership, the bomb. Got to wear your sunglasses. That's the law around here. Wear your sunglasses. I was a day late with my message. Congratulations. Not at all, Jeff. It's a thought that counts. And Anna, we loved your picture this morning. Absolutely beautiful. Let's show it one more time. If we do ever have a calendar, many of your pictures will be on there, I think. Look at that. It's so beautiful. Thank you very much for that, Anna. Keep coming.
That will be the pink balls page.
The pink balls of the Algarve, which can so easily happen. Sunscreen, wear sunscreen. Groucho, and have fun applying it. Groucho said, marriage is a wonderful institution, but who wants to live in an institution? Well, hey, excellent stuff. Sorry about that Groucho impersonation. I shall work on it. Joao F, I think we're calling Jean this baddie. But Helena is such a lovely name as well, isn't it? Doc, Boris, Marie Antoinette, who'd have guessed it? Does he know something we don't? And it was OLP who said bubble off centre, speaking about Stephen Wright and George Carlin the other day. Thank you, OLP, for giving birth to that podcast name then. Jack Polly, for you, James. One morning I shot an elephant in my pajamas. How he got into my pajamas, I'll never know. I think that's another Groucho there, isn't it? So we may have Stephen Wright, George Carlin, and Groucho quotes for the day. Victoria's here, of course. A bit too chilly and cloudy this early. We'll stay inside with some high-intensity interval training and some salsa dancing instead. Excellent prescription there. I love it. I think the entire riot might qualify, but I definitely do. Is this for the vintage people? It's our own YMCA, isn't it? It's going to be so much fun. So wonderful to have hung out with you, so to speak, on Sunday. That's for you, Doc, I think, isn't it? And morning, people. Oh, I'm not. That was a guess. I'm going to take that off the screen, Abel, so we don't blow that. But I think you're on the right sort of track there with the famous golfer from our community. Question for the Doc. Okay, so we've done that. That's fantastic. Resolving things now and getting to, I think, the end of the comments and the questions, because, of course, it's nearly 10 o'clock. I think we should probably let you go. Suffice to say, Doc, you know you're a legend, right? You know that your show is my favorite show of the month. Love you, Doc. Love your refreshing, honest approach. Just tell it how it is. Better out than in. Star award to you. Patricia Bartram, a lady of 85, and after a long struggle involving loads of doctors, finally received my blue badge for the car I have. 60% disability status. My question is, do I need to report the fact to anyone that I am registered disabled? And are there any perks that I should know about? Asked Patricia. Thank you for that.
So it's 60%. I'd have to check. So there is a site, or there are several sites that you can go on to read about the perks of having your Certificado Multiusos de Incapacidad. But I'm at 83%, so there are two levels. The 60% entitles you to some things, and then the 80% entitles you to more. And you'd have to look at those sites and documents. If I remember, I shall post them in the forum. But if I don't, then perhaps someone will give me a nudge.
Okay. All right. Fantastic. I hope that helps, Patricia. And Maxine's here as well. The British retirement home is there is one. Look, São Pedro do Estoril. I think we need to broadcast from there one morning. That would be a lot of fun. I know. It's so. I mean, whenever I've hung out in old folks' homes or done any work, as a massage therapist, I used to do a bit of work in old folks' homes. It's so great hanging out with old folks, and they love it as well. When you get in there, my friend Susie in Devon is a remarkable woman who works at an old folks' home and just puts on the most amazing entertainment, and it's a lovely atmosphere in the best of the old folks' homes, I would say. Carlito, you sexy beast. Well, thank you, Frank. Right back at you. I'll take it. Serenity is the best. Garvo's here. Thank you for that, Cindy. Much more of this teetotaling. I'm going to have to close the bank. Or maybe
no way.
Turn it into a museum of alcohol abuse. Something like that. The doc mentioned the website Infomed, and I'll put it in the comments. I have put that in the comments now. You should be able to find that at the
Thank you, Antonio.
And Cheryl Smith is here, everybody. She'll be with us tomorrow morning, of course. Cheryl, looking forward to talking to you around 9:30 tomorrow. Last few comments, and you're up for a couple more minutes, Doc, because they love you.
I'm cool.
All right. Rioters saying hello all day to the same people. That's what it's going to be like in the video. Hello. Yeah. Hello. Bon dia.
Fancy seeing you here. When did you come?
My dad. Bon dia, Doc. Great to see you.
Bon dia, Victoria.
Doc, how would you suggest dealing with pre-existing conditions when you first arrived? Getting repeat prescriptions, making the GP aware. Go to your Saud. Is that the first step?
Yeah. So get yourself registered at the local health centre, and that will take some time, varying lengths depending where you are. But there is a shortage of GPs at the moment. In the meantime, you could make use of ACP's, and there others are available. ACP's health insurance entitles you to GP consultations free of charge, so that might help. But when you do get to meet your GP, go with a written list of the conditions that you have, the medication that you're on, the most recent investigations for your condition, and also when you register, when you fill in the registration form, tick the box that says it's urgent, and say it's urgent because you have pre-existing conditions and you're on medication. And find out how to say that in Portuguese. That should be the first bit of Portuguese translation that you do.
Okay, very good. And again, Serenity, people keep saying that in the comments. I'll keep saying it to you as well. It's a great service that they offer. Drawing to a close now, but we don't want to miss anything or anyone. There's a thumbs up from Jeff for Serenity and Dr. Michael. So helpful. We've got two great doctors among us. Doc here, of course, every second and fourth Wednesday, and it's a bon dia. Bit of fisting in the morning, and who doesn't love, etc. Bon dia, Carl, and comrade Andy from Michelle and Gemini's with us as well. I'm not feeling very well. I need a doctor immediately. Ring the nearest golf course. That's brilliant. Groucho Marx, not Karl Marx. That's a very American gag, isn't it? Obviously, that's superb. And Bon dia Alegria. I thought it was going to be the Woody Allen, wasn't it? I told you on the tombstone. I told you I wasn't feeling well. Regarding disability, maybe that's why I was so quick at Seth. They identified my psychological disability. all wave through in 20 minutes there. Great job. Doc, you legend here from Andy as well.
Thank you.
Oh, and this was another one. Scott is in Somerville and said insomniac in Somerville. Very quickly then, on insomnia, what have you said to people over the years who are struggling to sleep, apart from watching our show?
You keep a routine. Don't drink coffee too late in the day. Don't eat. Here we go. So the whole of Portugal should have insomnia, because I'd also say don't eat after 6:30 in the evening. Exercise before you go to bed, and then have a warm shower. Don't lie in bed reading or watching television. So it's all about sleep hygiene. So you go to bed, you switch the light off. You stop. Oh, for God's sake! You stop arousing your brain.
Yes.
You can play quiet, gentle music, or wave sounds or rain sounds. That can help as sort of a white noise, if you like.
Yes, I think you're looking for an alternative.
don't nap during the day. If you're, if you're not sleeping at night, if you sleep during the day, then you're just going to exacerbate the problem.
I think you're looking for an alternative word to arousal, but that's another option, isn't it? Do something vigorous and pleasurable, and then maybe fall asleep after that.
And then fall asleep. Well, this is true.
Jacqueline Branco just arrived. Good morning. And James is here. Hola. Morning, Jacqueline. Great to see you here. Hola, Carl from a cold Skipton this morning. Nice tit for, as in tit for tat hat there, James. Sorry, Bondi, I've been talking to Spain this morning. So you should be. How very dare you, sir? I've got my postal vote for the Portuguese election for the first time in 34 years. Any suggestion who I should vote for?
O Bloco de Esquerda.
So left block says the dot. I say pan can be one of the pans people. I love that. People, animals, and nature. What could possibly go wrong with that? If you don't support anyone, just vote blank. Oh, is that a thing here as well then? So you can register your dissatisfaction that there's nobody you want to vote for, presumably, or spoil your paper. Abel, vote for the guys that send you the postal vote, says Eduardo Corte Real. Depending on who they are, I suppose. And it's why we call it, what's this mean? It's why we call it quinine. Quinine. Oh, I see. Quinine. Quinine. In the States, lol. That was referring to the quinine prescription from earlier on. And I think quinine is available in Portugal, but most probably under a specific pharmacological name other than just quinine, which might be quinine then, I guess. Kina tree. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? From Alma Sheffers. And I love these people who don't normally speak up, but this is suddenly their area of expertise. And you were right. You knew it, didn't you, Doc? Alma says, and welcome to you, Alma, and thank you for this. Kina tree the bark. I used to make a syrup to make my gin and tonic, not for health benefits, but to make your own homemade tonic for your gin. How fantastic is that? Superb. Yes, so morning to you, Cheryl. We'll see you tomorrow, and we are drawing to a close here. Moa saying to Patricia, bless your heart, are you a member of the Expat Portugal Forum? There's another suggestion for you. I'd love to contact you and find out how you are able to handle Portuguese bureaucracy with your disabilities. Please sign up, Patricia. There is a free level of doing it as well as the premium and the premium plus levels. And Stuart says, OLP for £10 a month, Serenity will assist with prescription transfers, and they speak English. Stuart, thank you so much for that. On my final approach to my permanent landing in Portugal, don't mention the SNS number. Just some months remain there. Morning to you with your stimuli. And what's he talking about?
Stimuli. Yes. Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, that's okay. That's a way
stimulate the brain. No external stimuli except maybe some quiet, gentle music or sound.
I wonder what you're going to say there. External stimulation, maybe some quiet, gentle music. But Carl, Pan was the party that started censoring or forbidding children's songs like Quite Right 2. We can't have people teaching songs to children about beating cats up, can we? Unless, of course, it's been put into perspective beforehand. Pan, come on, have a sense of humor. I would say a lot can go wrong. Yeah, it's true. Got to register for NHR, freight, and a load. And we knew he was going to mention it. Andy, good luck with that. Don't forget to tune into the Man Cave on Friday with those guys, whilst they're still drinking and not becoming teetotalers like me and Frank. You've been a star this morning, Doc. Big reveals to come then. Celibate, good times. Come on. No, I still don't know what that means. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what he means there, but just revealing the mystery now as we end the show. The Amish-looking gentleman who could have been an extra on the film The Witness, in this picture on the right and in this picture on the left. And the man on the right is this astronaut, by the way, the moon buggy driver, whose name I forget, forgive me. And the man on the left here is, of course, the duck. Thunder Duck on the left, who will not forgive me for not knowing the name of that astronaut, which leaves this one hanging. Who is this with the sporting face paints on from our community? And someone's just sent this in. Who is that? I think on the left there. It's not Garvo on the left. Who is that on the left as a child? And that is such a beautiful picture, isn't it? It's a wonderful picture of growing up, I think, in the 70s, overlapping with the 80s UK there. Who is that on the left from our community? And who is this from our community? No, it's not somebody from our community. That is a Paula Rego picture there. So you may recognize that style, and I'll make a link to more of her work. Thank you for that pic. the Prof. Have a great day on the course. Look at that. That's the office for Nuno this morning. And, of course, don't forget to join us on Friday for the Bubble Off Centre live stream and podcast. Thank you for that name, OLP. And, of course, this morning, thank you so much for your medical insight, your political insight, and just for being a star, as Chris said, Capricorn 12 said to you, the Doc. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
From the Atoros, at logo.
Yeah, lots of love to the fam, Doc, and we'll see you soon. And I forgot to play the outro video yesterday. Forgive me. Here it is for you now. Take care, folks. Ciao for now.